Well, speaking of that, let's bring in our next guest to the show. We've been telling you folks about him all this afternoon. We're very excited to have Chris Ruddy, the CEO of Newsmax, join us this afternoon, newsmax.com. Chris, thanks so much for joining the program this afternoon.
Well, Tim and Chris, thank you for having me on. I'm really excited about being on.
Great. And Chris, because we know that Chris Arps is one of your favorite contributors, I'm going to kick this to him to ask you the first question of the afternoon.
Mr. Ruddy, I did not pay him to do that. And before I start, I want to tell you it is an honor to appear every week on Wake Up America with Rob Finnerty and Allison Vallone. It's a great honor and pleasure, and I really appreciate it. One of the big stories we talked about last week, of course, was DirectTV removing Newsmax from their platform. And, you know, a lot of people don't know the inside of how that distribution deal works. Can you tell us how the distribution system works with DirectTV and cable networks?
Sure. Well, just to be clear, this is the second channel that AT&T owns DirectTV. This is the second conservative channel they deplatformed in the past year, and it is a blatant act of censorship. They have 22 liberal news channels that we count. All of them are still up and running. All of them get paid very hefty fees. DirectTV customers pay for that, and they're only left now with Fox. There were 3 conservative channels a year or so ago. Now they've gotten rid of 2 of them. And I might add that this was done at the behest of Nancy Pelosi Democrats. They wrote a letter in 21 asking AT&T why they were carrying One America, Newsmax, and Fox. And it's pretty clear that, in my mind and a lot of others, that AT&T and DirectTV have complied, removed us, and deplatformed us. And they're using business arguments. They're saying, well, this is a business decision. We were trying to save money. We were seeking in license fees on our renewal of our cable agreement about $1 a year in cable subscribers fees per year per cable subscriber. So to give you some reference on this, it's just $1 that you would pay out of your bill all year long. You pay $14 for CNN. ESPN's even more money. Every cable channel pretty much that's worth its salt gets a cable license fee. Every cable news channel does get a fee. Newsmax is more rated higher than 3/4 of them, and they all get fees, mostly higher than Newsmax. And what DirectTV said to Newsmax was sort of interesting. They said, we will never pay you 1 penny. We're not giving you anything, which is a bizarre thing. Like, why of all the channels would we not get anything? So it's pretty clear they were trying to demonetize us because they knew that we couldn't accept that, to censor our voice on 13 million homes. And a lot of people, you know, we are the 4th highest rated cable news channel in the United States. 25 million people. I'm sure, Chris, when you're on Newsmax, you get a lot of response because people say, see you on the channel.
Yeah, Chris, we get that from a lot of our listeners. We know a lot of our listeners watch your network. And Chris, I want to thank you for providing this this additional platform for so many Americans. And besides Chris, who's with me every single day, I love your network too. Got a couple close connections there. The Reckenberg family, Emma Reckenberg, her folks are good friends of mine here in St. Louis.
Oh, we love Emma.
Yeah.
Emma's terrific. She's our morning co-anchor in the morning.
And
she's a fantastic.
And John Gizzi is a good friend of mine as well. So you have wonderful people at Newsmax. So because of Chris Arps and John Gizzi and Emma Reckenberg, I know you have a lot of fans here in St. Louis. Chris, so for people who are worried about this, while you all wrestle with DirectTV, for folks who are relying on that, what would you advise them to? What should our listeners do who are relying on that?
Well, people should make a judgment if they want to support woke companies that close down conservatives. President Trump said he was disgusted by what AT&T DirectTV did. He was canceling his service. He was going to cancel his AT&T cell phones and wireless, that they have a history of this, and a lot of people apparently are following suit. If you want to cancel, it's very easy. You just call 877-NEWSMAX. It's a toll-free number, 877-NEWSMAX, and you get connected to directly to DirectTV or AT&T Uverse and to cancel them. We have a petition up on the website called iwantnewsmax.com. iwantnewsmax.com. We're getting a lot of support there. And people can call them members of Congress even if they're not a subscriber to DirecTV. They can tell them we want hearings. I know Kevin McCarthy spoke out, Ron DeSantis. There's a letter that Ted Cruz and 4 Congress senators wrote that's up on Newsmax.com right now that is demanding answers why Newsmax is treated so selectively and targeted for discrimination by DirecTV.
Mr. Ruddy, a couple of days after Newsmax was deplatformed from Direct TV, they put out a press release saying that they have added a new conservative network called the First Network. And I have to be honest with you, that was the first time that I had ever heard of it. So that is their counter. We are not eliminating conservative talk. We've added this network that no one's ever heard of.
Maybe that's why it's called The First. It's the first time everybody ever heard of it. You know, it's an unknown real channel. It's got, you know, some nice people on it, but I'm not against them adding additional conservative voices. The issue is it's not a news channel. It even says it's a commentary channel. They didn't want a news channel. We go out and we interview people. We go out and do stories. We have people in Ukraine. We have people that go down to the border and sit on the border and report. The First doesn't do any of that. They don't want you to get news before the election in 24. That's why they could have easily had a negotiated deal with Newsmax. They didn't even want to negotiate. And they keep, when people call up, they'll say, "Oh, we're still in negotiations." We are not in negotiations. They'll say Newsmax wanted significant fees. If you think a single dollar for a whole year is significant, well, then don't cancel. But, you know, it's obvious that they're making stuff up, and that's why President Trump is urging people to cancel DirecTV and AT&T.
Speaking to Chris Ruddy, CEO of Newsmax. You can find him at Chris Ruddy NMX on Twitter, newsmax.com. Chris, you brought up a great point there. You know, how vital and important is it for networks like yours and very few others, there's only a few others, folks know who they are, who are actually digging into and connecting the dots and reporting on stories like the Biden documents debacle, connecting that with some of the things we're seeing coming out of Ukrainian corruption, Hunter Biden's laptop from hell. There's just very little reporting on that. I mean, yeah, some of the mainstream is having the corporate mainstream is having to, you know, report on the document scandal, but they don't do the news and analysis and the connecting of the dots that Newsmax is doing, do they?
Well, we have great hosts. None of them have people like Rob Schmidt, Greta Van Susteren, Chris Salcedo, Greg Kelly. We've got tremendous amount of analysts, Dick Morris, Mark Halperin, people that are coming on that you don't just get anywhere else. And so I think they want to have a sort of neutered conservative thing that does not really report the news. And it's, again, not a news channel. And if you look at what they did to One America, I mean, it's pretty clear. AT&T does a lot of business with the government. It's got a lot of heavily regulated business. At the time that it deplatformed One America was at the very time they were trying to get the merger approved with their Warner Media, which owned CNN, and Discovery Channel. That was a $43 billion deal. It got very quick approval. There was no questions or special review on it, which is highly unusual. And then literally a month later, they announced they were removing One America. And I just think it's bad for America even if you're not a conservative, that, you know, I would never think about closing CNN down, even though I disagree with a lot of their politics and their bias. But it's not good to censor people, and it's wrong.
Mr. Ruddy, when I was promoting your appearance on our show today on my social media, I got a couple of responses from people that showed me pictures where Dish is still advertising that Newsmax is on all of their packages, and I've gotten that from a couple of people. What's going on there?
Well, we're on all the major systems now except for DirecTV, but if you're a satellite user, Dish is just as good. It's great. We're getting pictures of people sending in their new Dish, and the satellite service is cheaper than DirecTV. You know, DirecTV used to have 20 million subscribers. It's only got 7 million people have left the service. They no longer have the Sunday football. So a lot of people say, why am I paying these high prices? I'd just go to Dish. And they're doing it in droves. And I it's really supportive. We know because the 800 number has metrics on it that over 70,000 people have called since they dropped last week to the 877 Newsmax number. So it's an amazing amount of people calling. That doesn't include all the people that called AT&T for their cell phones or Uverse directly, or called DirectTV. They're just the ones that call through that number.
I'm just curious, have you seen viewership go up since this controversy last week?
Well, the numbers are very early, but we're seeing that they're holding pretty steady despite the loss of 13 million subscribers. You can imagine that that's a pretty big hit for us, but it shows that the numbers are not going down, and that we're holding pretty steady. Is a good sign that people are now interested in the channel and they're learning more about it because of this controversy.
Mm-hmm. And Chris, to make it easy on our listeners, what are all the ways that people can get Newsmax? They can get Newsmax TV. They can watch it. You're available on a ton of other platforms and in a ton of other ways, aren't you?
Well, we are. We're currently free as a stream on a lot of the OTT fast platforms on Samsung and Roku. However, as we become a regular cable channel, getting a license fee so we can expand our news operations, we will not be streaming the regular Newsmax channel free. So you have to get it via cable service if you want to have it as we get closer to the election. We will have a secondary channel up on the free platforms. It'll be a little bit different, but so that's the best way for people to get it. If you want to find out about the different venues to get it, on the iwantnewsmax.com page, we have a lot of those providers listed there.
Mr. Ruddy, in our closing 2 minutes, I think our audience would like to know, who is Chris Ruddy and how did you start this Newsmax juggernaut that has become the dominating channel that it is today?
Chris, you're only going to give me 2 minutes to tell me my whole life?
We're in a soft break.
Yeah.
We're in a soft break, so don't rush.
We can go further.
First, I got to open a beer so I can have a drink before I start going through it all. You know, I all I can say is I'm a journalist. I come out of journalism. I believe in fact-based news and fact-based opinion. I covered the Clinton White House in the 90s. I built Newsmax because I thought there needed to be more alternative news that we're not getting from the liberal media. And it's grown over the years. First was a media website, and it's still very popular, Newsmax.com. But now we're, of course, going into the TV in the past several years. And we're already, within a few years, have overtaken a lot of the famous news brands. So stay tuned to Newsmax, both on the web, on television, and we really appreciate, Chris, you coming on. And hopefully soon we'll get Tim to come on.
Excellent. It'd be wonderful. Chris, thank you so much for what you and all the incredible talent at Newsmax does every single day. A ton of our listeners tell us they listen and watch you all 24/7. Newsmax.com. Real easy to use, great website, great TV service, great media company in whole. Chris, thanks so much for being with us this afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Ruddy.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'm really appreciative of your help.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. There we go. Chris Ruddy, the CEO of Newsmax.
I've been nervous all day.
You did a great
for
job.
this interview.
And he was easy to talk to.
Yeah, he was
Very
very
Super cool dude.
That's the boss, so you got.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I think you put your best foot forward.
I did. I
Yeah.
hope so.
You did. Absolutely. And
You stunk. No kidding.
Thank you,
I'm kidding.
Katie.
You did
Katie,
great.
always
Everyone's
keep it
great.
real, though. I love that.
keeping us all humble.
Keep it
Humble
real.
pie. And we learned a lot. I hope you all learned a lot as well. Look, folks, Newsmax really is an incredible product. We're not just saying that. Go to check them out. So easy to find them. Newsmax.com, newsmax.com. Find ways to fight back against this ridiculous deplatforming by DirecTV. I think DirecTV, I didn't realize DirecTV had lost that many subscribers in the last few years.
Yeah.
This is probably going to hurt them more than it's going to hurt Newsmax.
I think it is. Definitely.
5:41, we'd be happy to hear from you all. We had a heck of a show that Katie put together for us today, so we've hardly been able to take a breath. We're going to take a breath next, though, and we'd love to hear from you all about any of these topics, Newsmax or anything else we discussed today. 314-912-1019 if you'd like to weigh in.